I've come a long way down this road, always learning as I go. But you can't look backwards and get ahead. It's time to lead and not be led. Goodbye limitation, hello liberation. Goodbye frustration, hello to living my life by my design. Breaking these chains that bind my mind, learning to color outside the lines. Dare to be, dare to be, dare to be unconventional. Uniformity is getting old. Time for gusty, time for bold. Time for me to break the mold, to find out how far I can go. Goodbye liberation, hello liberation. Goodbye frustration, hello to living my life by my design. Breaking these chains that bind my mind, learning to color outside the line. Dare to be, dare to be, dare to be, dare to be, dare to be one of a kind. Goodbye limitation, hello liberation. Goodbye frustration, hello to living my life by my design. Breaking these chains that bind my mind, learning to color outside the lines. Everybody, dare to be, 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 dare.
Coloring outside the lines, how many of you have ever done that? Or a better question is, how many of you have never colored outside the lines? That's the trick. That's the trick. And you know, some of you know this already, but I had the wonderful privilege of taking kindergarten twice. And I like to do things more than once, so I took the third grade twice. Now, in kindergarten, I would not color in the lines. So they felt that I needed a little bit more time to be in kindergarten again. I still continued to color out of the lines. Then when I got to the third grade, I remember my parents asking me if I wanted to stay in the third grade again. I'm like, is this a trick question? I didn't understand the question. You know, everybody else was going to the fourth. So they put me in this room. You know, at the time, now I realize what the room was for. Two-way mirror. My parents and the teacher were behind the other side, watching me put square blocks in the round holes. I took the hammer. It's gotta fit. It's gotta fit. Why does it have to be only in that hole? So I took the third grade again, and no regrets. No regrets. So coloring outside the line is not necessarily a good or bad thing. It just is. And that's the beauty of it. Now, I don't know about you, but some of us do color by number. Some of us do pretty pictures with pencils, and we color it in, and I hate them. I hate them. It's like, And I try. I've gotten a couple of Christmas gifts during COVID, and I tried. I sat down at the table and went, oh, I can do this. Come on. I do not want to stay inside the lines. So that's just the way it is. In case you didn't know that, that's just the way it is. But that doesn't limit our creativity, does it? So today's daily word, and if you're not familiar with the daily word, it's a pamphlet that comes out every 2 months and gives us a word plus a spiritual aspect of that word. And so we're in the month of October. Today's October 9th. And today's word is world peace. Now, how many of you want world peace? Now, if we closed our eyes, would we all still raise our hands? Maybe, right? So here's the thing. If we color outside the lines, how do we get world peace from it? Because some of us are locked in to staying within the lines. And the more we stay within the lines, the less God can get through with the unlimited possibilities of creating what we say we want. Make sense? So there's an element of flexibility along with an awareness of our intuitive nature through God that gives us the solutions, either individually, collectively, worldly, universally, whatever. So today's daily word. So I just ask you to listen. If you're more comfortable closing your eyes, it's all good. I just simply ask that you put both feet on the ground because it stabilizes us. We allow the chair to support us so we don't have to be hunched up. The chair's good. It's not going anywhere. And gently close your eyes if you're called and comfortable to do that. So today's daily word, world peace. Peace creates beauty in the world. An artist creates beauty out of a spectrum of shades and hues. And the diversity of color adds to the depth of the artwork. In the same manner, the differences in the world show the possibility of splendor when combined in the right way. I envision a world in which all people accepted exactly as they are, and I set an intention to practice and facilitate goodwill toward others. I behold the world around me and find examples of people and cultures blending and mixing in magnificent ways. The potential for peaceful interactions and coexistence are endless. Acts of kindness, honesty, and healthy communications paint pictures of harmony. As I choose non-judgment and unconditional positive regard, I create peace in the world. And from Psalms 34:14 it reads, "Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it." Again, Psalms 34:14. And so it is. Amen. And with that, why don't we stand for our congregational song, Everyday People. Everyday people.
Perfect to go along with today's daily word, right? Sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the baker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in. I am everyday people, yeah. There is a blue one that can't accept the green one, for living with the fat one, trying to be the skinny one, and different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. All right. We got to live together. I know better, and neither are you. We all the same, whatever we do. You love me, you hate me, you know me, and then you can't figure out the bag I'm in. I am everyday people, yeah. There is a long one that doesn't like the short hair for being such a rich one that will not help the poor one, and different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. Ooh, cha-cha. We got to live together. There is a yellow one that won't accept the black one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one, and different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. Ooh, yeah. Everyday people.
That is a great song. I love that song. Okay, well, today is the day we have all been waiting for. After service from 11 to 12:30, Mystic Ice Cream will be serving 14 different flavors. And for a small donation of $10, you can eat all the ice cream your little heart desires. So this is going to help support the audio fund. So come join us after service for some yummy ice cream. Now, everybody can hear me? This is new. Okay. Have you been wondering how to get more involved and learn more about the Unity Spiritual Center? Every other month, we hold a community member orientation. The next one is Sunday, October 16th, immediately following service. Complete orientation, fill out the application, and you're in. And we'll honor you on Sunday service. So it's a great thing. We would love to have you join our growing community. Then next Sunday, the 16th, is the third Sunday of the month, and our official outreach collection for Haven. So bring your gently used clothing, household items, and non-perishable food. The last 2 months combined, we contributed $1,600 worth of goods. So we're doing good, yeah. And this is coming up soon, Murder on Misty Island. Sounds very intriguing. The date is Friday, October 21st at 5:30. Tickets are $10, and they're going fast because we're not having it in the sanctuary. We're going to be in the community room. So there's only 60 tickets that can be sold. And we're having a 50-50 drawing. Bring your, it's BYODS, which is bring your own drinks and snacks, okay? So, and then all proceeds, guess what? Goes to the audio sound system. So, cookies and milk. And you can meet the minister too. Okay. Thursday, October 27th at 7:30. If you filled out a welcome card, you should have got an invitation. If not, then please give the office a call. And we look forward to getting to know you better. And you do need to RSVP because Reverend Mo needs to know how many dozens of cookies to bake, okay? So they say laughter is the best medicine, and it matters. Reverend Marcia McCartney will be our laughter yoga facilitator for this fun healing event, Saturday, November 5th from 10 to noon. There is a $10 love offering. You guys are doing great because I'm not even paying attention to the slides. I'm so sorry. Anyway, thank you for the sound system back there. So planning ahead, mark your calendar for Sunday, November 6th at 11:45 when our own Reverend Anne Marie will hold a 1-hour presentation on activating the spiritual powers within. It's a guided meditation to activate and restore your energy balances. So there is also now a prayer box in the back. It's on the ledge. As you exit, it's going to be on your right. You'll find prayer slips and pens for your use. After the service today, the prayer slips will be picked up by the chaplain of the day, Jeffrey Whitman. The chaplains will pray over the prayer slips, and then they are sent to Unity for an additional 30 days of prayer. Unity believes in the power of affirmative prayer. When completing the prayer slip, we invite you to affirm what you want more in your life, rather than focusing on the issue. For example, if you're not feeling well, you might want to affirm perfect healing and health for your body. When we feel overwhelmed and too much to do, we might affirm clarity or seeing things in a new light. What we give our attention to is what grows, so we might as well affirm what we want with less emphasis on the problem or the situation. There is also an opportunity to have the prayer chaplain pray with anyone who would like to after service, and the available chaplains will be up front wearing their purple stoles.
It's a time in our service where we give over some quiet time so that we can reflect as well as tap into the unlimited resources of that spirit, that God, that entity within you that guides us all. So again, I would invite you to put both feet on the ground. Open the palms of your hands. You can gently lay them on your lap if you're comfortable. And of course, let the chair support you. There's no need to be concerned about anything in your world right now. And if you're comfortable, gently close your eyes. And we give over to the short window of our life to hear the still small voice of God, the still small voice of the Spirit within, our intuitive nature, the guidance that we seek. Whatever, however you define God, this is our window with which to tap into that resource, the unlimited power and aspect of God. So with our feet on the ground, let us allow ourselves to feel the energy, that pulse that is present in the earth. There is always that impulse that moves our earth on its axis. So we give ourselves this moment to feel it, to feel that energy coming through our feet and permeating our body. I invite you to feel the first two fingers of your hand. Does it feel cold, wet, dry? And I ask you to take a conscious breath, breathing in, exhaling, breathing in, exhaling. 3 more times. Breathe in, exhale. Breathe in, exhale. And last time, breathe in and exhale. We allow our minds to be open and receptive to the still small voice. And we allow ourselves to feel the very heartbeat of our existence. And I invite you to open your heart space, that area in your chest. And we open it to the unlimited possibilities. And we breathe into that heart space. And now we gently invoke the presence of God within us as we ask a prayer. Today's daily word is world peace. And the prayer request is, how can I be part of that experience of world peace? What is it I need to act on? Where do I need to be kinder? Where do I need to be honest? As we paint a picture of harmony, and as we make this prayer request, we get still, and we allow that answer to come forth. So I invite you into that silence now to hear the still small voice of God. ever so gently bring yourselves back to this time or place of now, and in your own special way, give gratitude for this opportunity to just be still. And so it is. Amen.
Lost touch with my soul. I had nowhere to turn. I had nowhere to go. I lost sight of my dream. Thought it would be the end of me. I thought I'd never make it through. I had no hope to hold on to. I thought I would break. I didn't know my own strength, and I crashed down, and I tumbled, but I did not crumble. I got through all the pain. Didn't know my own strength, survived my darkest hour. My faith kept me alive. I picked myself back up, hold my head up high. I was not built to break. I didn't know my own strength. Hope in my heart, I found the light to life, my way out of the dark. Found all that I need here inside of me. I never thought I'd find my way. I thought I'd never lift that weight. I thought I would break. I didn't know my own strength as I crashed down and I tumbled, but I did not crumble. I got through all the pain. I didn't know my own strength. I survived my darkest hour. My faith kept me alive. I picked myself back up and I had my head up high. I was not built to break. I didn't know my own strength. There were so many times I wondered how I'd get through the night. I thought I took all that I could take. I didn't know my own strength. I didn't crumble, but I got through all the pain. I didn't know my own strength. And I crashed down and I tumbled, but I did not crumble. I got through all the pain. I didn't know my own strength. I picked myself back up. I held my head high. Oh, I was not built to break. I didn't know my own strength.
I got some feedback this past week about not mentioning last week about the hurricane. And the truth is that I tend to not want to bring that into the service because it's not pleasant. I want to uplift you and bringing in. But I got word this week, in fact, it was wrapped up yesterday. There are 3 Unity ministries that have been impacted by the hurricane. So if you are called to donate to those 3 ministries, the Unity of Naples, Unity of Sarasota, and Unity of Northport. They're down south, obviously, around the Fort Myers area. So if you're called to do that, those are the 3 churches, Unity of Northport, Unity of Naples, and Unity of Sarasota. So we have contacted those 3 churches, and those are the ones that you can go right to their website and hit the donate button. And you're free to do that at your leisure. So have a donut on me while you're doing it. I know I rocked a few boats this past Sunday's talk, and that certainly is never my intention. Although my founding minister told me that if I don't inflict you with pain, you'll never change. It's kind of not my gig to, but I did cause you to think, and that's part of my intention, that's for sure. So we're in the middle of a series, and last week was week 1, but I got an opportunity to respond to somebody this week who expressed their concerns about the talk. And I'm open and receptive to that, Call first. Kidding. Tell me what you think, all that good stuff. So I took the time to respond and to share why I was doing it. And her response was really simple. Jeepers, maybe I should share that with the whole congregation, because that makes sense. So that's what I'm going to open up with. Why we're in this spiral of discussion. Why are we doing it? And so most of you are familiar with the term, and I wasn't until I heard it the first time a couple years ago, and I went, oh my God. The saying is plop, pray, and pay. Make sense? You go to church, you plop yourself down, you pray, and you pay. That's how church has been run for many, many years. And sometimes you pay twice. Right? You pass the basket around multiple times. And the consciousness has shifted. People do not want to have an experience of church in that way. So the new model, which is growing rapidly, and we're a little bit ahead of the curve, thank God, is wake up, clean up, grow up, and show up. What's our 5th tenet? Thank you. Our 5th tenet is to take what you've learned and put it into practice. Show up. That's what Unity has always taught. So in this process, we have a quadrant. Boom, 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 boom. And wake up, clean up, grow up, and show up are all in these quadrants. And we're in this learning objective and learning curve to live within this quadrant as a spiritual community. And of course, I pray that you'll take this information and go home and live your lives outside the spiritual community with it, right? So it's very common for us to be enlightened in the service and then go home and forget about it. Can't even remember what the talk was about, let alone apply it. But here we want the whole system. I introduced the holacracy last week. It's the whole body, mind, spirit, soul, and shadow. We all have stuff. So to help us do this, we teach the quantum living. We have 7 people in the quantum living right now process. And that brings us to about 35% of us have taken the quantum living, which is shadow work. Why do I respond that way? And how can I make my life a little bit differently? And one of the other ways is spirit groups. We've got over 30 people right now in spirit groups. This is another avenue with which you get spiritual upliftment, community connections, prayer work, an opportunity to expand your spiritual awareness, connect with people of like mind, and still have a message of God. So, and then the third method is our mission statement. Transforming lives, inspiring others to make a positive difference in the world. That's what we do. So in my quest to have you inspire others to make a difference in our world, not the world. That's too big. But our world. The part of us that has a universe. You see, because so many projects that have failed tremendously out in the universe is because they want to do the world. And I'd like to do our world. And I've gotten permission from Pam Trevane to do this. Pam has been on me and the ministry in her own gentle way, because she's a gentle soul, thank God. She likes to recycle. How many of us want to recycle? Right? We all want to do that. But how many of us do it? Well, we do the best we can, right? So I was watching this commercial while I was away. You know, normally I just blank out on the commercials. We just ignore it in our brains. And this one, it said, so you've got a laundry detergent container. And how many of those do you use a year? And you got my attention. I said, probably empty 6 of those. And he said, well, that's going into the dump. And they don't, they don't dissipate. They just stay in the dump. And I went, okay, so what do you got? He's going to sell me something, right? So what do you got? And he has a box with the same ingredients that's in there that is biodegradable. You put it in your yard and it disappears. Sounds good to me. So we still have 3 bottles we have to empty, but we're going to go buy that product. That's how you make a difference in my world, in the world. So the more the people who buy into that product, the economic state of the world says if a product is good, people will buy it. And then another company will develop that, and another company. So this is part of the wake-up portion of our quadrant. So we're looking at spiral dynamics because spiral dynamics has 2 very serious elements to it. The first tier, which is 6 developmental stages, and then the second tier is a couple more stages. So the quest is, we all want to be an inclusive community, right? We want everybody to come into the door and feel the energy and feel good about it, right? Yeah, none of us would say no to that until we disagree with them. Then the question comes up and, well, I want to be all inclusive, but I don't like what you do or don't do. So Pam's going to share how effective the recycling, the little thing we do here, because we're just beginning.
She's talking little, like battery size. So far this year, our community has recycled over 160 pounds of batteries. That means we've kept it out of the earth. Thank you all.
Thank you, Pam. You see, it's baby steps, right? Now, Pam would love a team of people who are passionate like her to make our building green. Doesn't take much. Little firm steps, a little minor changes and tweaks. So if you'd like to be part of that self-governing ministry, see Pam. She's open and receptive, and we'll see where it goes. You see? That's part of how we change our world. And the thing is, and so when you find a company that you know is making a difference, however you define that as an individual, there's your window to make a difference. Might cost you a few bucks more, might not. I compared the price. It's actually cheaper to buy this guy's product. Now, here's the thing. What he's doing, and I can't tell you the name of the product, sorry, I didn't do my homework that well, is he's in second tier of his development. He's willing to sacrifice a little profit to make a product that's worthy of his cause versus the companies we all know, however you define that are only about the money, right? Now, I'm not saying don't go buy products from them. I'm saying just be aware of it. That's their objective. You know, I remember being in school, I think 3rd or 4th grade or something, and Lake Erie was dead. Remember that? Right? There was so much dumping in Lake Erie. And you're like, why would somebody dump bad things in the bottom? Because they're motivated by money. It's easier, it's cheaper, all those stuff. I'm not judging, I'm just stating the facts of all that. And so lo and behold, Lake Erie's not drinkable, but it's clear. The dumping has stopped and they've taken some measures with which to do something about it. You probably have heard of this small town very close to Fort Myers who didn't have any damage from the hurricane. What? Went right down. Went right by him. Category 4. The community was specifically built to withstand a hurricane. People who live there, they made it sustainable. Cost a little bit more money to be there, right? Because there's more infrastructure. So word's out that we can rebuild in a way that is not damaging to when weather and nature presents itself. Question is, will we do it? Seed has been planted. It'll work itself out. You know, all that stuff. So in our quest to understand where we all are in our development consciousness, which is why I'm doing the spiral work, when we become aware of where we are in our developmental cycle of life, we can become more conscious of accepting each other where we are, become a more inclusive community, versus you feel this way, you feel that way, and there's nothing in between. I went to a diversity training not too long ago, and the woman that was presenting the material was a newscaster. And she had to, unfortunately, file a suit against the radio station for discrimination, and won. Now, the thing is, how was she able to win that? And what she discovered in this process, she'd been involved in this community for many, many years. In this news broadcast system, she was the only black woman on staff. She regularly invited people into her home, shared her family, had dinners, picnics, all that stuff, of live community. And it wasn't until she got into the law stage that she realized that not one person had ever invited her to their home. Now, how is that possible? She was shocked when she realized it, that she was willing to accept others into her home, but they were not willing to accept her. And it became a tumultuous relationship. And the thing is that we can get stuck in our developmental stage in that quest. I think it's up here. Committed to being right. Committed to being right. We're so sure that our way is the best way, and we close the door to anybody who contradicts that. It's kind of the human element. It just is. But if my job is to strive to have you think of something different and a different way to do it so that you can experience more of God, then we start to not just accept that all lives matter. No one will disagree with you that all lives matter, right? No more than anyone would disagree that you want to recycle. But what are we doing about all lives matter? And all lives matter no matter what they think, where they are on the spectrum, where they are in their social economic status, what color their skin is, what their education. None of that should matter. But we've been programmed to have it matter. So we have to change the programming. But we can't change the program until we know where we are, so we know what we're going to change. You see? So, not that I'm on here, but I read that there are dating sites now that you can determine and say, I want to date only Democrats, I want to date only Republicans, I want to date only independence. That's where we've come. Because we want to be right. We don't want to be in a conversation with somebody who disagrees with us, right? Nobody wants that stuff. And yet, if all lives matter, somebody else's opinion matters, even if it isn't yours. And so it used to be, for most of us in this room, that you better not bring somebody home that isn't of the same religion. Remember that? Right? That was a taboo. Now you can bring anybody home. They better be of the same affiliation in their political views. So nothing's changed, just the color has changed. Just the way we are. First slide. So I'm going to run through this pretty quick because that's just the way it is. Beige. Looks a lot more beige than it was on my screen at home. I was like, what happened to beige? Now, beige is when you were born. You are dependent on others for everything you need, right? Everything. Changing of diaper, bottle of milk, your first meal, the kiss, the hugs, everything. You are in survival, and you will holler and scream until that need is met, right? And if you don't holler and scream, you're sent to the pediatrician to find out what's wrong with you. Because you're in survival, you need to scream and yell when you're hungry. You need to notify everybody that the diaper needs cleaning. See? Survival. And it is the lowest tier of the evolutionary consciousness. And this is how the world started. Now, let's not talk about the Big Bang Theory or how human beings were created. That's not what this is about. But 100 to 200,000 years ago, this is how we lived. It was done on survival. Everybody had to find a way to survive. Next slide. The next level on our spiral is the tribal magical period. So 50,000 years ago, people understood that, wait, if we work together, we only need one deer to eat. So let's come together. So tribes were formed in that survival state of mind. If we all work together, we can take care of our needs. And it became a magical moment where they started to think, wow, the sun wasn't there yesterday, and the moon was over here, but now it's over here. It must be magic. So we started to create an understanding of how the universe worked. Even if they didn't understand it, they created an understanding. Because science isn't there yet. Next slide. This is the third of 6 levels, is red. The power empire is the next evolutionary stage, and that happened 10,000 years ago. Now, you know the terrible twos? Go back one. Remember the terrible twos? Right? We've all had those kids either in our classrooms, in our living rooms, as our neighbors. The terrible twos, it's all about them. They only know themselves. They do not perceive anybody else out there. Guess what that is also called? Ego. Narcissist. When you are only concerned with yourself, you are stuck in purple. And it sometimes takes a proverbial 2x4 to kick you out of that consciousness to go to the next one. And here's the fun part. Every stage is built on the next one. You can't avoid any of the stages. Our development, you go through all of them. You may not linger long in one, but you always go there. In fact, if you believe in life after death and you come back, you still start out with beige. Damn. I thought right? Because you're still in survival. Somebody's got to feed you, change your diaper. But you'll move through these stages faster and faster as your previous development entails because you already understand it. But you still got to go through it. Slip a slide, go back to red. Power empire. Now somebody's in charge of the tribe. Now we got somebody telling us what it is we need to do. And that's called the 3rd grade. You get up at 8 or 7, eat breakfast. This is what you're eating. You're going to catch the bus. You're going to go to school, and you're going to come home. It's all regimented. You don't have to think too much. And it's during this stage, as humans, that we start to see other people. We start to actually be taught how to share, how to love everybody in your group. How do we all get along kind of concepts. So here, you don't have any say. You're either in power or you are part of the power machine. Next slide. This is number 4. Blue, purpose and order. This happened 4,500 years ago. You notice that the time of the evolution is getting shorter and shorter, 100 to 200,000, 250,000. Now we're at 4,500 years ago, before our time, right? But this purple, purpose and order, is where religions started to come in. They started back in red, but came into blue much stronger. If you follow this simple guidelines, you'll be saved. And that's when we started to see the universe going, oh, there's an eclipse coming. They started to realize the patterns. People started to write things down. You know, when it gets cold, it only lasts a certain amount of time, and started to understand more how the evolutionary process of the earth was formed. Next slide. Orange. Science really kicks in 300 years ago. The Industrial Revolution. All of those things started to happen. And orange is where science started to question, wait a second, there is no myth about God. You don't have to sacrifice your firstborn to have a place in heaven, because those magical moments were still sitting there. Some people stayed there and would sacrifice the goat, would bring a certain amount of food to the altar. You know, this is where Judaism really kicked in. You know, the book of rules, right? As long as you followed it, you were good. And if you stepped out of it, that meant you were excommunicated. You weren't allowed to be part of the circle. Same with many religions still today. If you don't follow the rules, you're asked to leave. We have little dogma here. Some, but little dogma. Versus, you know, you walk in the door, you better all have the same shoes on. Right? We're all different. So here, the orange is the progressive, where the progress started to escalate. Things started to happen quickly. The engine was created, you know, and Wi-Fi was created back here. Just nobody knew how to implement it. They knew that the universe was sending off waves. Science could see it on a monitor. They discovered that the human body, when you get stressed or you're happy, the blood moves to a different level in your body based on emotions. This was progress. This was huge. But this is always also where the power machine came in, where the money dictated all the decisions. We were in this creative state of mind, right? You're now in college, and you're finding out that science did this, and you're learning all about the human body and the elements and all this stuff, and you make a decision on what course you want to take. You're progressing. You know, when I was in college, it was all meant to get a college degree, because then you can get a job, then you can have money, then you can have a family, you can have a house, all those things, right? So now we're in college, and what are they teaching? It's not judging. They're teaching it isn't about the money. It's about the impact you're making. Next slide. And this is the last slide of the first tier. And that's green, pluralism and nature. When you're in the green main, you are all about recycling. You're all about everybody should come together and get along. Right? There shouldn't be any discord among us. And one of their gifts is bringing people together, and the decision is then a collective decision, not one person making the decision. Power is spread out. Now, the funny thing about this, that even though they're bringing everybody together, the weakness is that they can never come to a decision. Too many people, too many different viewpoints. So eventually they make a decision, and in order to make that decision, somebody is excluded, even though they want to bring everybody together. Now, 150 years ago, the integral model of ministry is not quite in the green. It's actually in the second tier, which is another state of consciousness that we'll talk about next week. your job is to figure out where are you in the cycle. And here's the fun part. You're not in it all of the time, depending on the conversation or depending on the situation. In your marriage, you might be and you might be the power in your marriage. You might be the one that accepts the power in the relationship. Or you might have that relationship where nothing gets done until you both agree to it. It's kind of the one I'm on, and we can't decide where to hang that picture. It's going on for weeks. You see? So eventually one of us is going to have to say it doesn't matter. And then it gets hung, whatever that is. Right? So you might be in the green on some aspects, it might be in the orange on others. With your grandkids or your kids, you have an operating style, how you treat them. And my job, here's the fun part that I get to do, is I get to have you release your facial facade and unravel and be who you are with no strings attached. To truly be in a place of saying, I love you no matter what, and mean it, not just words. Now, how do we get there? The first place is to recognize where you are. Where are you on the spectrum, on the spiral? And you know that saying that someone stands on your shoulders in order to, whatever that language is. I stood on the shoulders of somebody else before me and the spiral just. And so the timeline is increasing rapidly. And then the last thing I want to share is that there's a tipping point. That when enough people are out of beige, purple, red, and blue, and land in green, and the more advanced we become in our evolutionary understanding. You see, some people want to stay where they are. That's okay. Their evolutionary process will unveil when it's time. We accept each other just the way we are, and some people are where they are, and you're where you are. We don't have to judge. You're not better because you're in green and somebody else. No. It just means that that's where you are. And when we can come to terms, because in green, a lot of good has happened. A lot of good in our world has happened because of green, including everybody, that pluralistic idea. There's a lot of flaws with it too, like any of the memes. There's downside and upsides to it. In Tier 2, which we'll talk about next week, we're going to discover that there's a growing into the Tier 2, which is all about truly not seeing our differences like all lives matter, but rather seeing our differences and using them rather than saying, well, you sit over there and I'll sit over here and we agree to disagree. That's orange. Recycling could be green, could be orange, could be red. It's a common theme, recycling, I'm just using that as an example, where we get to decide where we want to be as a community with a simple thing like recycling. You know, it's just a way of saying, well, I don't think batteries should be dumped in the trash. And when I can't find that word, I'm really scared about what my life is going to be like 10 years from now. The trash, right? Some people are just fine with throwing that battery. So I had to change a battery. It was rotten. It leaked all over, right? I stuck it in my pocket. I didn't want to throw it out. So I went to do the laundry. I remembered I had it in the pocket. Took it out. Still didn't want to throw it in the trash. So I laid it on a shelf. Mystic ice cream has arrived. Just saying. My day is complete. So I said, I don't have time for this, and I threw it in the trash. That evening, I'm walking my pup, and there's the battery on the street. Didn't get picked up. Came out of the bag. How is that possible? Right? So I picked it up and put it in my pocket and forgot about it. I have a very clean battery sitting on the shelf, waiting for me to remember to bring it to the church and drop it in the box. So it happens, and we do the best we can. So I don't punish myself, right? It's a little thing, right? But that's how we make a difference in our community, in our world, by the little things. By the little things. So I hope you've indulged me today. Nobody fell asleep. Nobody walked out. I'm good. So we're in this state of waking up, cleaning up, growing up, and showing up. And this is one of the tools we can use to do that. And it all has everything to do with God. Because God is in the midst of us, right? There is no place that God is not. So therefore, God is in all four of these quadrants as we explore it, as a community and as we do individually. I commend all of you who have taken the Q process and are actively putting it into your life to deal with the shadow work. The spirit groups are humongous here, and I can't wait to continue that process with you, because I see you changing right in front of my eyes, just as I see me changing when I look in the mirror. Be part of the change. Transforming your lives is a gift. You get to be different than you were before, however you define that. And with that, we love you anyway, even in your goofiness, because we're all goofy. We all do things that are like, really? You did that? And we get over it and move on. Amen, and God bless you, and I wish the best for everyone. Okay. Ooh. All I can think about is ice cream. All right, let me get through this. This is the time and our place for our offertory blessing. And just gently raise your hand, those of you that are new with us today. First time here, Mr. Dan. Yep. So, because you're a guest with us, we ask that you not give to the love offering. You're a guest with us, and we appreciate your presence. And with that, let us do our offertory prayer together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. And so it is.
I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my love into the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy. It returns to me.
I want you all to look in this camera.
I send my power.
It's been here a couple of weeks. This was donated by someone who was one of our online participants, and their concern was that they never get to see the faces because the camera's in the back. So smile to our online audience, Facebook and YouTube. Yeah. So thank you for that gift. It made us a little bit more there, more present. Let us do do our offertory blessing again, and this time we're going to use the words us and we together. Divine love, as us, blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we give, all that we give, and all that we receive, and we are grateful. And so it is. Amen. I now want to invite Jeff Whitman up to give us a community update. Mic is on, sir. Jeff Whitman, folks. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. You may not know that I'm an actor.
Up, up, up.
I'm going to put this right here
Okay.
because I was told up, up.
Up, up.
Ongoing events at Unity Spiritual Center. Now, you've seen these before, perhaps outside, but I'm going to go through all of them just to keep you up to date. So on Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m., we have the Daily Word on Zoom. On Tuesdays from 10 to 11:30 a.m., A Course in Miracles at Unity. You can contact John Booth at 703-625-6475 for additional information. On Tuesdays from 3 to 4:30 p.m., we have a Course of Love class at Unity. Wednesdays at noon, prayer service in the church and on Zoom. Fridays from 10 to 11:30 a.m., Joel Goldsmith's study group on Zoom. The third Saturday of the month, 9 to 11 a.m., men's group at Unity. The third Sunday of the month at Unity, outreach, food, clothing collection here at the church. And our Sunday service from 10 a.m. every week in our sanctuary.
God bless
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah. All good? Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey. Yeah. We have a lot going on here, and that was the point. And so if you're one sitting there going, oh, where's the ice cream? There are other avenues for which you can be instilled spiritually. We have a variety of things. And I just want to remind you that Unity Worldwide Ministries, no, Unity, whatever. I've been asked to ensure that if you join us on our daily word call at 7 a.m., Monday through Saturday, you must have a subscription to Daily Word. It's not to replace getting your own subscription. And the truth is that when you're on there, you're reading the Daily Word. So having a presence of the Daily Word. So just wanted to do my due diligence there on that whole idea. Okay, welcome guests. Again, if you're new with us for the first time today, just raise your hand. And if this is your second or third time being here, Michelle, raise your hand. Raise your hand, seriously. Yeah, awesome. Somebody go help the Mystic Ice Cream guy. He's driven around twice. Really? We're good? Okay. If you're good, I'm good. I just don't want him to drive away.
I know, right?
You know, I'm being very mindful. Guests, we have a blessing for you together. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we uphold the Christ as you. And welcome. And please join us for some ice cream. And I don't think that the board would have any objections, and well, too late now, I'm telling them, I'm sorry, that our guests can get all the ice cream they want without having to shell out the $10. What do you think? Yeah, can we do that? Yeah. They gotta have a green tag, not the maroon tag, not the fuchsia tag, just the green tag. Because you guys in the red tag have been here before. So just saying, you know, and it is a fundraiser, so we're open to all gifts. So with that, why don't we stand for our blessing, peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.